Hello. Alright. Oh yeah, so do you see this is the Brahman coat or the uniform? And if you haven't already guessed by the title and what I'm wearing, we'll be talking about Tokyo Revengers. Right. So I've prepared. Actually, let me take off this jacket. It's getting pretty hot. Alright, none of that. Okay, so I've prepared some notes. Okay, so let's start with the intro arc. Basically, we start off with him. He's 26, I believe, and he's basically just being an unfulfilled 20-plus-year-old, like he's at some DVD store, I think. Those still exist apparently. Yeah, he's getting bossed around by a manager that's younger than him. Life sucks. And yeah, so turns out while watching the news, his previous girlfriend from back then, known as Hinata. What was it again? Tachibana Hinata. So basically, she died. And the cause was, you guessed it, Tokyo Manji Gang. I don't know how she was killed the first time, but yeah, she was killed by the gang. And basically, he goes through life, oh, it sucks, blah blah blah. And he went into a train station and he got pushed. So he should have died, right? Then he time leaped back to, I forgot again, 2003 or 2004, somewhere around that time. He time leaped back to that time. And then we find out that he's a delinquent. So we follow him and his group of friends. Well, they're important, but I don't think I should. I don't think they have to be named. So we follow the MC and his friends, and apparently they're supposed to fight people. Turns out they meet this big bad. I'll just name the main guy, Kiyomasa. He's from the Tokyo Manji gang, and they get absolutely beat up. Let me just point out that they look like freaking adults. So they get beat up, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, forgot to mention the main people responsible for killing his ex was or the girl he loved was Sano Manjiro and Kisaki Teta, or Teta Kisaki. So yeah, things to keep in mind. So they get beat up by this dude called Kiyomasa from Toman, basically. That's the short form of the gang name. So from Kiyomasa from Toman. Then they go to underground fights, blah blah blah. The MC's friend was supposed to fight Kiyomasa, and then Takemichi, our MC, decided to take it upon himself to, fight him, because he's not gonna be a coward anymore. And yeah, so he fights Kiyomasa, and lo and behold, the first appearance of our beloved captain and vice captain, or leader and vice leader, I guess, president and vice president of Toman. Yes, so the president is Mikey, or Sano Manjiro, and vice president is Draken, or Ken Ryuguji. So we see the both of them. Basically, they see Takemichi and Kiyomasa fighting, and the rest of the dudes. Long story short, this gang isn't as dark as it's portrayed to be. They're pretty lighthearted, despite the fighting and stuff. They look, at least the leaders and the main guys we'll see later on, don't necessarily take it too well to do all these shady stuff, like underground fights and stuff. So Draken and Mikey basically beat the crap out of Kiyomasa, and yeah, from then on, Mikey got an interest in Takemichi and they became friends. So that's the beginning of how RMC gets initiated into the gang. So moving on to the Mobius arc. Basically, since Kiyomasa got beaten up, he wants to take revenge. And then there's also this dude leading a gang called Mobius. His name's Osanai. And he fights Pachin. Pachin's this other dude. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, the Mobius arc is basically Kisaki Teta manipulating both Mobius and Toman. And Pachin, who is the 3rd Division captain for Toman, gets arrested because he stabs the Mobius leader, Osanai. And if you want to know more about why that happens, you can just watch. I'll just gloss through all the arcs. And yeah, he gets arrested, Pachin gets arrested, and then there's a divide between the Mikey faction and the Draken faction, but then they got back together, happy. And then basically Mobius came back again with a different dude. First appearance of Shuji Hanma, the crazy dude, tall and crazy dude. Basically, they have a war in this parking lot. Toman wins, and Shuji escapes, or Hanma escapes, and he says there'll be a new gang called Valhalla, which will beat Toman. Then now, and I forgot to mention one thing about what was important in Mobius. So as I'm talking about all these events, our main character basically time leaves back and forth, and to see where it went wrong, because he realized that Toman isn't as bad as it is in the present day. So basically he went back and forth, and it turns out that Draken was supposed to die, but he prevented it, so all good, right? No, going on to the Valhalla arc. So I'll say it here, Mikey is a good dude. And then now we have a bad dude entering because of Pachin's absence. Kisaki Teta enters Toman as the 3rd Division captain, bringing a sizable amount of people from Mobius. He was also in Mobius previously, and he pulled his strings basically to enter Toman. And then there's this 1st Division captain, Mikey's childhood friend, called Baji. He basically despises Kisaki Teta, but let's just call him Kisaki. He despises him, and he basically leaves the gang. So to join Valhalla, and people think like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Why? There's got to be a reason. There is. Let's just move on first. So now another dude, Kazutora, appears. So fast backstory: there are 6 founding members of the Toman gang. Mikey, the leader, vice leader, Draken, 1st Division captain, Baji, 2nd Division captain, Mitsuya Takahashi, I think, 3rd Division captain, Pachin, and last guy who's with them is Kazutora. And then we'll see how the split happened. So, let's see. Yeah, Kazutora appeared. He despises Mikey. He wants to kill him or something like that. He's gone crazy. And then we find out why. Because Kazutora and Baji wanted to steal this bike that Mikey liked. Then, when attempting to steal from a shop, the shop's owner came to take a look. And then the shop's owner got killed by Kazutora because he hit him in the back of his head with a pipe. And then it turns out the guy he killed was Mikey's older brother. So then, he basically gone crazy over that. It's like he didn't mean to kill him. In some weird way, he just decides that Mikey's in the wrong. And I won't get too much into that. So basically, we find out why he died. Baji and Kazutora teamed up in Valhalla, Then we find this dude who will be basically a lifelong partner to our MC. He was the vice captain of the first division, Matsuno Chifuyu, or Chifuyu Matsuno. So basically, we find Chifuyu, then lo and behold, bloody Halloween, Valhalla versus Tokyo Manji. Tokyo Manji, Toman has 150 people against 300 of Valhalla. Oh my god. Blah 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 blah, they fight. Turns out Baji wanted to get at Kisaki, and he didn't actually have bad blood against Toman. And then turns out Kazutora wanted to kill Baji. And then convoluted stuff. Mikey was supposed to kill Kazutora, but then MC stopped him in his tracks. Crisis averted, basically. Or so we thought. And Kisaki is still in the freaking gang. So now, in the middle, between the next arc, we find out that Shuji Hanma is working alongside Kisaki. Yeah, working alongside Kisaki. And then the bulk of Valhalla joins Toman and basically. And it's all playing out how Kisaki wanted it to. So, bad guy, Then the next arc would be the Black Dragons arc. So, the Black Dragons, where do we start with that? Let's just start with the main bad guy, which would be Taiju Shiba. And he has a younger brother and a younger sister, called the younger brother being Hakai Shiba, and the sister being... Dude, I can't remember her name. I don't know her name, but basically a sister. And it's a family matter thing. Taiju lost his mother, and the father's barely home, so I guess he thought that he had to take care of the kids, and then he did it wrongly, if they messed up, he beat them up, stuff like that. Trouble family stuff. Yeah, family trouble stuff, basically. And then, time shenanigans, stuff like that. One thing I will say right now, basically, in all these futures, even though stuff has changed, the girlfriend always dies. Hinata always dies. So that's why, he has to keep going through these arcs. Then basically, Hakai Shiba had enough. So he left Toman. Oh yeah, Hakai Shiba is in Toman under Mitsuya in the second division as the vice captain. So he left to join the Black Dragons to kill his older brother. And then, they had a peace agreement between Black Dragons and Tokyo Revengers. They had a peace agreement with the Black Dragons and Toman. So MC and his partner Chifuyu decided to, just do it by themselves. But they needed help. So who did they ask help from? The main antagonist, Kisaki, and his lackey, Shuji Hanma. So the four of them do some planning and stuff. Then, romance time. What's her name again? Hinata. Hinata's dad went to Takemichi and said, please break up with the daughter. You know, I don't want her to be involved with delinquency, stuff like that, blah blah blah. And Hinata's a good girl, so understandable. Then RMC decided to break up with her. She cries, romance stuff. And then he proceeds with the other three, Chifuyu, Hanma, and Kisaki. The other three to fight Taiju, and stop Shiba, Hakai Shiba, from killing him, basically, not to turn him into a bad guy, you know. And stuff happens. It was pretty freaking epic for MC during that arc. So we'll leave it at that. You should read it, or I think the anime is coming out next year or soon for second season, and it features the Black Dragons arc. So you can wait for that if you want to watch it instead of read it. I prefer reading it. So basically, they beat Taiju, and happily ever after, the MC makes up with his romantic partner. Happy. Then, between the next arc, Kisaki gets fired by Mikey. Ooh. The first time reading it, I was like, I knew that Kisaki had to, you know, meet his doom, so to speak. But I didn't know it'd be this early, so in between the Black Dragons arc and the next arc, Mikey decides to fire him. And yeah, basically Kisaki was also shocked, as I was, and he was like, why? And Mikey was like, you are bad. We are naughty, but we are not bad. We just go into brawls and stuff, but we don't do evil stuff, you know? Basically. And Kisaki left, still want to take revenge. Then the next arc, Tenjiku arc. So, all these arcs, I don't think the real arcs names are like that. I just named them like that because they're easy to remember, and they're all the gang names. So, you know, as you can see, Mobius, Valhalla, Black Dragons, and now Tenjiku. So let's see, Tenjiku. Oh, we find out main bad guy is Izana. Kurokawa Izana. Who's that? Okay, so Kisaki joins forces with Izana. They have a cool freaking uniform, you know, I'm not gonna lie. And Izana's earrings, I actually have them. Where are these? I wore them like a few times, but I don't know when would be appropriate to wear them, honestly. So yeah, basically Kisaki and Izana joined forces, and we learned of the S62 delinquents, basically the Showa 62, which is the year Japan or something, basically 2 years older or 3 years older than the generation of Toman, like the average generation. Yeah, we find out that all the S62 delinquents are joining forces in Tenjiku, and turns out the 5th Division Captain Muto, I don't know his full name, let's just call him by his nickname, Mucho. Basically, Mucho's part of the S62 delinquents, and he leaves Toman to join Tenjiku. Then we get to meet the 4th Division captains for Toman. So the captain and vice captain are twins. So one's smiley, one's angry. Smiley being the captain, angry being the vice captain. So basically, we go to Yokohama, which is where Tenjiku is based, and Toman is based in Tokyo. So we go to Yokohama, we find out that one of the Heavenly Kings, as the main S62 delinquents were called, like, we have captains in Toman, and the Heavenly Kings in Tenjiku would be one of them. We meet, his name's Kakujo, and we find out that he's Takemichi's childhood friend. Then basically they got into a small scuffle, but they're still like lighthearted about each other because they're friends. So then stuff happens. I won't get too much in detail, but basically Mikey's sister gets killed. And for context, Mikey's sister is also Draken's girlfriend, and Hinata's very good friend, basically a prominent figure throughout the manga, and she gets killed. And Mikey and Draken, they have a fight. They have a war against Tenjiku, Toman and Tenjiku. But because of the killing, they couldn't participate. Both of the leaders couldn't participate. So our MC took it upon himself to lead his division only. 50 guys against Tenjiku, which is a lot of guys. I forgot how many, but yeah. And also the killer is Kisaki. So yeah. I mean, he's already evil. I don't think I need to like stress it enough, but he killed her. Yeah, he killed Emma. So basically, Takemichi leads his ragtag group to fight against the bigger, stronger, and basically better Tenjiku. So Toman's first division versus Tenjiku. Also, why Takemichi is leading the first division? Because after Kisaki's firing, he got promoted to first division captain, with the vice captain being Chifuyu, to take over the mantle of Baji, since Baji died during the Valhalla arc. Oh frick, I didn't even mention all the deaths. Well, yeah, Baji died and Kazutora got arrested during the Valhalla arc. So anyway, back to the Tenjiku arc. They're gonna fight, they're gonna war. Blah blah blah. Somehow Toman is very strong. They're changing the tide. Then Kisaki pulls out a gun. And then Takemichi gets shot in the foot, but he still stood strong. That part the first time I saw it, made me tear up. Not bawling kind of sad, but damn, like inspirational, because despite being him, basically, he manages to rally. He gets shot and he's like, because I haven't mentioned them, but there were a lot of deaths that he experienced, like going back and forth. So, despite that, I teared up because it was inspiring. Like, despite getting shot, despite going through how many hardships, at the end of the day, he's gonna try till he dies, like literally. He gets shot by Kisaki on the foot. Then Mikey and Draken appear. And then Mikey fights Izana because Izana's the leader. Not gonna go too much into the background. And basically, Kisaki ends up shooting freaking Izana and Kakucho. And Kisaki runs away while Kakucho and Izana is left lying on the ground, with Izana dying and Kakucho surviving. So Shuji Hama, being his partner, so to speak, Hama basically rides their riding bikes, rides Kisaki away, and Draken picks Takemichi and rides after them. So then, basically, conflict, blah blah blah. Draken takes on Hama. Our MC takes on Kisaki. Then our MC thought, since he always gets thwarted, like despite going back and forth trying to change, he always gets thwarted. Like things always go wrong. So our MC suspects that Kisaki was a time leaper, which he wasn't. Then Kisaki was standing in the middle of the road and he gets hit by friggin' Truck-kun. And he dies. So, basically, the Tenjiku arc 3 people die. Emma, Izana, and Kisaki are main antagonist. And wow, they finally go back to our MC finally goes back to the future, and wow, everything's freaking like fixed, except Mikey. Everyone's good people except Mikey. Mikey's still in a gang called Bonten, like a criminal organization. So now we get to this mini arc, and this is where it starts to become a drag. Reading it, I'll get into why. So, the Bonten mini arc, everyone survives. Takemichi is engaged to Hinata. We find out that Mikey's the leader of a criminal organization called Bonten. Despite everyone living happy lives, or happy lives, RMC basically, says we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been here if it weren't for Mikey. So he tries to save Mikey. Mikey's gone full haywire. He shoots him 3 times, and Mikey decides to jump off a roof. Because, stuff happened to him basically. And then RMC, even despite getting shot 3 freaking times, he saves Mikey somehow, and then now Mikey's the trigger to time leap. So now we're going to the 3 deities arc. Oh my gosh, there's so many arcs. And then basically now our MC traveled back one last time during high school, and then he can't travel back anymore. And he has a power of precognition. Basically, he has some future sight. Yeah, observation hockey, So now the 3 deities arc, or whatever. MC can't time leap anymore. Finds out that Mikey's leading a gang called Kanto Manji instead of Tokyo Manji, and without all the previous members. So it's him plus a few other guys. Then we find out 2 of the rivaling gangs against, Kanto Manji. So we find out Rokuhara Tandai and Brahman, which was one of the coats that I was wearing, the Brahman coat. You can't see now, but basically the 3 of them are constantly fighting. We find out the other 2 leaders. One is Toronto South and one is Kawaragi Senju. South being the leader for Rokuhara Tandai and Senju being the leader for Brahman. So basically, MC goes on a ride with Draken, and Rokuhara Tandai so happened to be there, I guess, intercepted them. And then Brahman also, blah blah blah, they almost got in a scuffle, but the police were there. So for now, they just walked away. And then MC joins Brahman, because Draken's in Brahman. Apparently, blah blah blah, things happen, and Draken dies by gunshots. So basically, he dies, then all 3 gangs appear. Mikey sees a person, his best friend die, and then he dark impulses, stuff like that. He kills South, and Senju surrenders to Mikey. And Mikey, being unstoppable, he sends MC to the hospital. Now, I'm calling it the Tokyo Manji Revengers arc. Wow, name drop. So, MC's recovering in hospital. He plans to take on Kanto Manji as Tokyo Manji gang. So he recruits the ex-Tokyo Manji members, all the members, and they go to war basically. And finally, MC has confidence in himself, and he can actually stand toe to toe with the best of the best. So yeah, he's brawling when he actually couldn't last time. So there's this dude called Sanzu. He wanted to kill everyone. Then Kakucho helps MC, even though they're on different sides, because he doesn't want people to get killed, and Kakucho dies by Sanzu. Then Mikey knocks Sanzu and Hanma out, Hanma and Sanzu being in Kanto Manji. Then Takemichi uses his precognition to go toe to toe against Mikey. Then we find out that the other Time Leaper is actually Mikey's older brother. Whoa! And then in the first timeline, Mikey got into an accident which led him into a coma, a vegetative state. So he can't do anything. And he died. Then the older brother was depressed, he overheard some people talking about a Time Leaper. Then he found a Time Leaper, which was an old homeless man. Shinichiro, which was the older brother of Mikey, killed the homeless man, but nothing happened. Then he lost all hope, he committed suicide, but turns out from committing suicide, he traveled back in time. Then, basically, he gets to see his little brother again, and this time no accident, but because of his time leaping, he's the one, or at least the time leaping shenanigans is the one that caused Mikey's dark impulses. So that's basically so far what happened in Tokyo Revengers. So now let's talk about my likes. So here my first point is I really like MC's heart and tenacity. Basically, he's very empathetic, which I appreciate because, people like all these cold and calculating, broody kinds of characters. But I really like empathetic characters a lot because he has a lot of heart. He's very kind, he's very passionate, he'll do whatever it takes to save people. And another thing I liked was the art style. It was at least the start. Towards the end, it gets a bit like the art style's a bit meh, but at the start, it's pretty different from what I've seen, And then what? So I'm back. My sister talked to me about some new Pokemon game. I don't know what it's called. I forgot already. But new Pokemon game. Not really interested, but just talk to my sister. Basically, what I liked. Another point is also because it was interesting. I've never read any manga or read any anime or basically any story regarding the Bosozoku lifestyle, which was teenage motorcycle gangs previously, which was very popular during the 80s, I think, 80s, 90s. And it was very interesting learning about gangs because in Singapore, the only gang I know is like 369, but that's about it. Sao Kong Sa is what? Sao Kong Sa 303, I think those two. And besides that, I don't think. Maybe I'm sheltered and privileged, and I am. Not maybe, I am. But I've never really seen like any sort of big gang stuff, even in news. This manga is incredibly exaggerated with all these gang wars and stuff and killings, but I think it's exaggerated, right? But basically, Singapore is pretty tame. All these delinquents basically just like teenage fights, stuff like that. That's what I know. So I was interested in the whole Bosozoku lifestyle, even though it's greatly exaggerated, it was still interesting. So my other favorite character is actually Dragon, because even without his dark impulses, Mikey is still pretty cold-hearted. So Dragon was called Mikey's heart because despite being this imposing big dude with a dragon tattoo on his temple and his blonde braided like ponytail, Dragon was very compassionate. He understood that they were just delinquents, with the Pachin incident. Basically, a short story. What happened was Pachin's friend's girlfriend got raped by Mobius and beaten up, while Pachin's friend got beaten up also. And basically, Draken was like, even though we're delinquents, let's not bring outsiders into this world of ours, like this violent world of ours, because it's not good, right? So that's what I admire about him. Yes, there's a bit of like, there's things where like, even if you say that you don't want to involve like outsiders, in the end of the day, if they have relation to you, they're in danger already. But basically, I like Draken next after MC because he's very compassionate. And another point is, I also like how MC finally became confident during the current arc, the Tokyo Revengers arc. Basically, he finally got confident enough to, because he's always been bad at fighting, but he can take hits, right? So he has to be somewhat strong. And he finally found the proper confidence in himself to say, screw it, man. Let's fight. And then he goes toe to toe with like one of the best fighters in the series, Kakucho, when Takemichi is essentially the worst fighter in the series previously, only rivaled by Kisaki Teta, which he couldn't fight either. So basically, I liked how our MC finally got confident, and yeah, despite his flaws, you have to admire and you have to respect, and I'm proud of him for basically, despite all the deaths that he experienced, despite all the failures, despite messing up so many times, he still tries to do his best, tries again, which I really admire. And people can hate on him because he doesn't make the smartest of the decisions sometimes, but at the end of the day, you have to freaking respect him. Like, I wouldn't be calling him like freaking whatever people are calling him names, because yeah, who only a select few, you have the mental fortitude to experience what he has and to still keep going. Imagine experiencing death over death over death of people you love, people you care about, people you hate, even being beat up, being shot, being stabbed in the hand. Things like that. People can crap on him, say that you'll be smarter than him, stuff like that. At the end of the day, he's crazy. He's really freaking, like, his tenacity is off the roof, and I applaud him for not, like, if it was me seeing so many people die, I don't know if I could take it anymore, right? He himself even contemplated to like just kill himself, but he decided not to, with the help of his romantic partner, of course. But still, that's very good from him. So I really respect that about him. Those are basically all my likes. So now let's talk about my dislikes. There's a lot. I'm not even gonna front, but basically, the MC keeps talking about how he wants to save everyone on his own, and the first few times he says that it's okay, but towards the end, when he says it, it's a little bit funky. Like, just ask for help, man. So another, not that I dislike it, it's just a nitpick, and it's pretty funny. The age range of most people in the manga is 13 to 17, so it's pretty funny how huge they are, how old they look, and how much muscle they have at that age. Maybe 16 to 17 or even 15, okay, but 13 and 14-year-olds, even 12, and related to that, So you know Rokuhara Tanda is Toronto South, the leader. He's basically he's more or less roughly a 7'1" freaking monster. And he's not skinny also, he's very defined very well. At least 100 kg, right? At least, and I think it's more. A 7'1" freak of nature, which can fight very well too. He dies on a one-on-one fight against Mikey, which is like 5'7", 5'9" if I'm being generous. Like or 5'6", like that height, 5'7", 5'6". Mikey, just because he's talented in fighting, a 7'1" guy, minimum 100 kg versus a 5'7" guy, maximum 70 kg, and that's pushing it. That's really pushing it because 5'7" is like 160 plus. Dude, let's just go with like his weight's around like 65. That's still minimum. That's still a 35 kg difference. You know, there's and the height difference too. You know, there's people like to talk about skill and stuff, and they don't have guns, they don't have weapons. Skill can only do so much when at the end of the day there's weight classes for a reason. Freaking 35 kg difference. Holy crap, and the height difference, the reach difference. Not to mention that just because Mikey's talented doesn't mean South isn't. He's very freaking good at fighting too. And he gets killed so badly, and Mikey gets like one punch in the face. I don't know, that's something that's very freaking funny, but Mikey is invincible according to Tokyo Revengers. The only person who can beat him is apparently the MC, which is around Mikey's height also. So that's a bit freaking funny. That granted, Mikey is a bit. Anyway, another thing I dislike is also the pacing. Actually, it was okay. And then the mini Bonten arc was okay. Then after that, starting from the Three Deities Act, it was horrendous. Really. Like, now it's a bit better, but it's still bad. Like, the chapters are short and not much progress in the story. Not that I'm expecting like crazy amount of progress in one chapter, but very minuscule. Like let's say I also love One Piece. So One Piece normal chapter maybe like from here to here. Like after 1 week you move here. Or maybe one big chapter. Push it. But basically here to here. Tokyo Revengers, like, I don't know if it is, but it definitely feels like every week it's just like it's like there's no progress. But it's not as bad as doing the Three Deities arc. Like at the start of the year, I think I was keeping up. It's horrendous, man. The amount of flashbacks, and even in between, like fights would last multiple chapters. Not that fights need to finish like in one chapter, but like 3 chapters for a fight. I don't know, man. That's something I really dislike, but yeah, let's see what else. Okay, another thing I really disliked before these past 3 chapters, I like to say, I really disliked how Mikey was practically an edgy boy, because we didn't know. He just kept talking about these dark impulses. Like, he's just edgy and he just wants to kill people. And a lot of people agree with the sentiment from the comments I've seen. So, basically, up until the last 3 chapters, which turns out, because of Shinichiro's time leaping, it caused Mikey to develop those dark impulses, basically, which he himself doesn't know what he's doing. So that's not something I dislike. I disliked that he was portrayed as an edgy boy, but at least we find out that it's his dark impulses are due to otherworldly powers such as time leaping, instead of him just being like freaking Sasuke or something, you know. Alright, so that's all from my likes and dislikes. All in all, Tokyo Revengers is still a pretty good read, but personally, I would suggest you either, if you want to read the whole thing, wait until it ends, and which hopefully ends by the end of this year, so you can just read it in one shot, because waiting for it, I don't think it's worth it. Maybe you feel like you could wait for it. Personally, I couldn't. The only reason why is because even during the three deities arc, even though it was horrendous pacing, I still wanted to know what happened. So it just got to the habit where every Wednesday I just decide to like read a chapter. So I'll just keep it up until it ends, and who knows, probably when it ends I'll make another video and we'll talk about Tokyo Revengers once and for all. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. If you've watched the whole thing, hopefully the editing's okay. I'll try my best to edit. I'm editing it on my phone because I'm lazy to go on my computer. Thank you.